On this episode, we discuss The Exorcist, believer.
Love it or leave it. You gotta believe it. We watched an Exorcist movie. Bye.
And welcome to the Flophouse. I'm Dan McCoy.
Hey, I'm Stuart Wellington.
I'm Elliot Kalin. We're going to have an interesting show for you today. Dan's on cold medicine. One of my kids is home with a cold. And Stuart, he's just cold-hearted.
Yep.
Snake,
oh, man,
look into his eyes. Oh, he's been telling lies.
But I am a lover boy at play. The thing is, the rules, I don't play by them.
Mm-hmm. No. You're also kind of a jukebox hero, right?
Turn in your lover boy badge and gun.
Oh, no.
I guess it would be condoms.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of both things.
Is that like equivalent to like a silencer? Or where does that
Yeah, it's like a silencer for your penis because it contains the sound when you ejaculate.
Because normally when I bust, it sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's a sonic boom.
It sounds like a balloon deflating.
Well, you sing about it like Ray Parker Jr., so it's loud.
Yeah, I'm shouting, "Mommy!"
Wow. We're not winning any new listeners with the beginning of this episode.
Okay. Nope.
That was the plan of this Exorcist believer episode?
Yeah.
People said, I can't wait to hear about this movie that I forgot about existing.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on a big one, a hot one. Uh-huh. This Exorcist believer movie sounds good. Hey, this is a podcast.
Recently added to Peacock. Okay. This sounds, can't wait to listen to the whole podcast.
I've heard good things about The Exorcist. Oh, wait, let me look at the small type. Believer. This is not the one I thought it was.
I mean, if I know anything about streaming, in 2 years, this will be the most inexplicably popular thing ever.
Yeah.
The procedural based on it. And talk about streaming, more like screaming, because this is a horror movie. And Dan, what do we do on this podcast?
This is a podcast where we watch bad movies and talk about them. You know, we have a whole month devoted to screaming coming up later in the year. But,
Scream-tember.
Yeah, we don't need to stick to that for horror movies. We realize we can have a little fun once in a while.
It's me, the straw man. I'm saying, hey Dan, you can only do horror movies in Scream-tember.
We can have fun once in a while. Let us have fun.
Once again, Bat Dan has to get rid of his arch nemesis, the straw man, who's always making Dan do explanatory advisories and provisos about things no one cares about.
Yeah. All right, well, fuck both of you. So we watched The Exorcist believer. David Gordon Green was
now this is not this is not Exorcist versus Severicist.
No,
nope, it's not.
Well, it was certainly worth interrupting the sentence.
Tell us about David Gordon Green. I apologize.
He got tired of doing questionable things to the Halloween franchise and decided to move over to another classic of the 70s horror.
Yeah. I mean, not to throw shade at David Gordon Green. I love a lot of his TV work.
He has done some really good stuff.
He's made some very good movies. Yeah.
I do not think he has a particular aptitude for horror, and he seems to want to do a lot of it.
But he loves horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meh.
He has a very eclectic filmography where he started out doing very kind of like emotion-based, atmospheric independent films. He also did Pineapple Express and Your Highness. And then once he got like drug humor out of his system, he was like, time to go to the horror movies of the 70s. I mean, he also made like Joe. He's made a number of like different. If you'd have to look at like Robert Wise to find a more all over the place filmography.
I try not to be mean on this show, and I'm not trying to be mean here. Like, I think he's done great work. It's just mostly not in horror, which is what he's turned his hand to. Like even the first Halloween new movie, which everyone was pretty high on, I was like, yeah, this is fine. Like, I like it as a cap off to the movies that I liked from a long time ago. This is a nice little ending, and then of course it was successful, so they made more of them.
It was actually a beginning.
That one,
Guys, I hate to interrupt. I just got a text message from one of my beer reps.
Yeah.
And it says,
by all means.
he says, hey, just a heads up, it's a Super Bowl week. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to roast this guy in the group chat right now. Super Bowl. What an idiot.
No, he means they're giving out free Super Bowls for National Super Bowl week from Whammo.
Heads up, you may not know about this.
A national holiday.
Sporting event.
Okay, sorry for interrupting. So we just covered that David Gordon Green's horror movies aren't very good, right? And that they're all like dredging up nostalgia bait bullshit.
Yeah. I mean,
you said that just now.
Oh yeah, I just did. Do you guys disagree? Are you like, no, I like it when they bring back, they do legacy sequels and bring back people from the original movies and have them kind of do fan fiction-y type shit and also like are kind of disrespected by the movie that we're watching?
I actually haven't seen any of his Halloween movies because I just figured I don't need to. But
you've seen the Rob Zombies. That's all you needed.
Yes, exactly. I saw the originals, the Rob Zombie ones.
Yeah. You jumped into your Dragula. You went to the movie theater and you watched them.
Yeah. I got into my hopped up homemade monster car. But in general, I am not a huge fan of the legacy sequel trend. Which I guess, did Tron Legacy start that, or was it something else that started it?
I mean, I feel like Matt Singer coined legacy sequels, so I'll just shoot him a text after the show, and he'll give us all the info.
And when he's done killing himself with the menu of the the Barbie themed Denny's menu, he'll be able to get back to you.
I think he already did that, and it was the Wonka Denny's menu that was particularly horrifying. But I don't know what's next. What other, like, is there going to be a Dune menu where you eat like a fucking bowl of sand or some shit?
It's a bowl of sand and worms. Yeah,
big Denny's drive-away dolls menu.
Yeah, the Love Lies Bleeding special menu.
He's sitting
protein powder.
Solo work of the Coens.
He's sitting in Applebee's right now, having the Applebee's Argyle-a-thon menu.
Oh no. It's just cat food? Oh, gross.
Just cat food in bags. Yep.
I don't know. Tell us about this movie, Stuart. Why don't you?
Let's fire this fucker up. So Exorcist.
So what's your experience with you guys? You've seen The Exorcist before, right? The original one, and we did The Exorcist 2 for a live show.
For a live streaming show. I think that's one that's available on YouTube for those who want to check it out.
Before we get to the movie, I just want to say I like that first Exorcist movie. That's a really good movie. Okay. That first Exorcist. Yeah.
And it's a movie that, we'll get into maybe my theological problems with these sorts of films later on, but it's a movie that I think sort of weaponizes the fact that we live in a secular world for the horror of like this unexplained thing happening better than like, possession movies that came afterwards that kind of like assume like, yeah, we all buy into this cosmology of the universe. She's
having sex with a tentacle monster. I get it.
Yeah.
It's a possession movie. Technically, I'm correct.
Yeah, you're technically correct. Possession is a movie about a woman having sex with a tentacle monster. It is. As much as I like The Exorcist,
so I'm on the scoreboard. Should we update the Super Bowl?
That Super Bowl ruled nothing.
Yeah.
As much as I like The Exorcist, I do like Possession more. Possession is a scarier movie that goes straight into my veins more than The Exorcist. But The Exorcist is still very good.
The Exorcist takes like kind of like mainstream major American religion and makes it seem horrifying in a way that like other movies of this ilk, I think, ask me to buy into something that maybe I don't necessarily want to. That like that there's all these like supernatural things going on all the time, and we need the church to save us. And
anytime you watch one of these movies, you have to suspend your disbelief that the devil does not exist. But I've watched so many movies where I have to. Dan, I hate to break it to you, Wookiees are not real either.
No, I knew that you were going to make this argument, and my rebuttal to it is like, with like
that Wookiees are real. Dan, I didn't want you to have to find out this way. That's not a Wookiee. That's just a hairy guy, you know.
With vampires, like, I'm not saying that there's no one out there who like believes that they exist. Like there's some goth person wearing a frilly velvet robe right now, and good on you for believing in vampires. But like,
and I want to meet that person.
Yeah, he's gonna be crushing out a solo black metal record.
I'm just saying that like with that, I don't have to deal with the fact that there are a bunch of people in real life that believe this shit, and it leads them to do a lot of stuff that I don't agree with.
Yes. Well, and I think you're right about that. In the original Exorcist, I think they walk that line pretty well because they really only talk about the devil or not devil aspects of the church. Whereas this episode, they start to talk about abortion at one point in a way that I was like, this is getting into this movie is taking on water that it cannot hold. You know,
thank you. Yeah, my only problem with the original Exorcist is I feel like it's a little cliched to cast Max von Sydow in the movie because you know that dude's going to be the bad guy, right?
Dan, Stuart, I hate to break it to you. That's the one movie that Ingmar Bergman didn't make where Max von Sydow is not the bad guy.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought he played a Catholic priest, and you're saying he's not the bad guy?
Once again, Stuart's
put me on the board.
Stuart's extreme leftist secular politics, his neoliberal anarchism is not neoliberal. His what would you, neoliberal is basically conservative. You would be what a
I don't know, progressive,
super progressive anarchist.
I describe myself as a classic stinker.
I'm just amazed. We've like barely ever used the scoreboard before, and now all of a sudden,
tearing it up.
Man, it's on fire.
Pull it out of the storage unit.
Amazingly, in this year's presidential debates, the Stinker Party got enough votes for Stewart to be on the debate stage.
It's a problem though because I'm such a force of personality that when I leave, my other stinkers they just don't have my same level of charm, so they won't be able to hold office. Okay,
and that's what leads to January stinks. Oh no,
other stinkers.
Thanks, Elliot. Thanks for telegraphing the future. So, boom, Exorcist, Believer. The movie. First off, guys, believer. Who's the believer in this movie? Think about it. Well, maybe you can answer it after the movie.
That's a good question because there's a couple different people who could be the believer, and we're talking about belief in it. And it was only after the movie was over that I was like, oh, I guess the title is about different belief. There are different types of belief. It just felt like such a generic title going into it that I didn't really think about it until it was over.
The movie opens in Haiti. Our characters are Victor and Soreen, who are, I believe, a married couple. She's pregnant. He's a photographer. He's taking, it actually opens with him taking photos of dogs fighting. And I'm like, what's this representing? And I guess we'll find out later.
Now, and Victor is played by Leslie Odom Jr., who I know Stuart and I have seen him on stage. Dan, you must have. You saw the original Hamilton cast, right?
I also saw him on stage, and he is the main thing keeping this movie from flying off the rails completely. He is very good in this movie.
Yes, he's very good. But I just wanted to mention it wasn't just Elliot having seen this person in a play. All three of us have seen this person in a play. Stuart and I went to it together.
Yep, holding hands. Tears in our eyes.
Yeah, and then we skipped away into up the Rainbow Road to Valhalla.
Not to jump ahead, but did you also see Norbert Leo Butz on stage? Because I did in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels opposite John Lithgow.
Ironically, he is one of the guys who's in a lot of Broadway plays who I think I've never actually seen in a Broadway play.
He plays one of the dads, the other dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so Soreen, who I said was pregnant, is still pregnant. She's in. She's getting she is getting her baby blessed by some local women, and she just said, later on, she's like, "Yeah, these women offered to give a blessing to our unborn baby." And he's like, "Okay, that's fine."
This little boy brought her over there. I'm like, "Don't follow this little boy. That's how gremlins get into your life."
That's how you get a gremlin. Yeah, that's how you.
That is how you get a gremlin.
Which is technically what they're trying to do. She's trying to give birth to a little.
They're trying to bring a little gremlin into being. Yeah, and I'll tell you, the same rules apply. Don't feed a kid after midnight. They should be in bed already. Don't get them wet unless they're taking a bath. They don't like to take baths, but you gotta
kids
do
are
it.
sticky enough.
Actually, you gotta wipe them off. Yeah, and don't show them sunlight.
Yeah.
Because you want them to be real, like pale ghost children who are real spooky and they look in windows and they scare people walking by. Yeah.
Is there one of the rules? Don't shoot them with the electric gremlin. Is that in the rules?
That's kind of an unspoken rule.
That's gonna fuck up your gremlins.
Yeah, especially not if they're wet.
Yeah, it's gonna wreck your gremlins. Sometimes you want that to happen. Like one time you wanted that to happen, but also kids love Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Gremlins love Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Same thing.
Yeah, all these rules also apply to my novelty gremlin fleshlight.
Now, let's tell us more about this.
You can't feed it after midnight. That thing will get fucking crazy.
And don't get it wet; you'll break it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You gotta clean.
Nothing like a dry JO session. Okay.
And you also don't
Gotta
want to
use-
use that in open sunlight because
Dan
people will
says
just look
that-
at you weird.
Yeah, Dan says that he's watching our listener numbers deplete rapidly
Yeah.
in real time
somehow.
wow. Yeah.
Somehow in the future, yeah. Now
Okay.
it's got the green kind of mottled skin of a gremlin.
Yeah,
right?
dude. Why else would I buy it? What's wrong
What about
with you?
gremlin-themed fleshlight? Don't you understand, Elliot?
No, you're right. You're right. I don't know that much about fleshlights. Does it make noise? Does it go like, hey, 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 hey? Are you having sex with it?
Well, it makes noise, but it's more like you're mixing macaroni.
Oh,
God,
right.
no, God, no.
Dan,
I'm
you knew
just-
we were going to talk about this.
I'm
It's
a-
the Exorcist
I'm
Believer
a truth
episode.
speaker
You're right. It was
here.
in the notes. How did I
You're right.
not realize that this
Yeah,
was
you
gonna
didn't get
come
the
up?
email about what we're covering. Okay,
Spend 10 minutes on fleshlight.
It would be how strange how surprising would it have been if later in the film Leslie Odom Jr. is just like, I gotta deal with the fact that my daughter's been possessed by the devil. I gotta get some of this stress out.
much
And just
stress.
pulls out a fleshlight.
and I'm like, dog, you have that in a house with children? Because children get into everything. She's going to find that thing. And those are harder to explain than a vibrator, I think.
Yeah, that's why you need a safe. You need to put
It's
them in
that-
a safe. Yeah.
It's like what Dan was complaining about the other day. The double standard our society has on different genders of sex toys.
No, I mean, everyone should have a sex toy that wants one. I'm pro that, I guess. but-
Okay, so Dan's just thrown in a free ad for sex toys on our podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
thanks,
Sex
Dan.
Toy Council. It's just sort of a non-specific
Okay,
booster group.
yeah.
so after like traveling around, checking out a church, there is an earthquake in Haiti,
Mhm.
and they are separated. And Victor, played by Leslie Odom Jr., finds his wife trapped under rubble, and the rescue workers are like, "We can only save her or the baby." And his wife, his dying wife, says, protect her, which is, I guess, the rules that he is going to live by the rest of the movie.
And I'd like to say that other than sort of drafting off of a real life tragedy, for me, this first section is the most successful in the movie. Like it has atmosphere, it has some tension. Like
Mhm.
I think Green, I want to, be clear again. It's not like I don't like him. I'm trying to figure out what doesn't work for me about his horror movies because I do think that he is good at atmosphere,
Mhm.
but maybe bad at tension.
I think maybe that's part of it. I think it's more of a story problem than it is a production or
Mhm.
directing problem. But I will say I'll give them credit for I was ready for them to bring in some kind of evil voodoo that the priest has to undo, like the baby has been
Mhm.
cursed or something.
Yep.
And I was very glad
Yeah.
that they didn't
Luckily,
do
that
that.
wasn't the
Yeah.
case. Yeah. I
seems
feel,
tough.
Dan, just like off the top of my dome, I think one of the issues, at least I have with his Halloween movies, is I feel like the point of view feels a little off. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be scared for the people that are getting killed or if I should be saying, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's a problem with any late period slasher movie, though, including
And
many
that's-
in your beloved Friday the 13th series, where I'm like,
Uh-huh.
who am I sympathizing with here?
I mean, I'm sympathizing with Jason because he's the man.
Yeah, see?
Did you guys, my internet froze for a sec. Did you guys hear what I was saying about Haiti or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We all agreed with you.
Okay, great. Great.
And we also said you're the best, you're the funniest guy we know.
I appreciate
and then
that.
we
Oh,
put
I
you on
missed
the
it.
scoreboard.
Yeah,
I
sang
made it on the scoreboard? Great.
Yeah. Dan whipped out a ukulele and sang a little song, kind of talking about how great you are.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you missed a lot. Okay,
It happened
so
just outside of the Zoom frame, though, so you didn't see it happen.
so 13 years later, what? Who did he choose? Well, we find out because Victor is now living with his daughter Angela, which of course is hilarious. Anytime you have a movie with devils and shit, and there's a character
Oh.
named Angela, you're like, oh, good one, good name.
But what if you had seen a picture of Judith Light in the house and you're like, oh, she's named after Judith Light's character on Who's the Boss?
I mean, I would give this movie a lot more credit at that point.
Okay,
But
fair.
it's like that old. Did you ever see that Ben Stiller show sketch? What is it like? Like hackneyed tales of cliched horror, where he plays a
Yes.
where Ben Stiller plays a radio like shock jock
Yeah.
who is in hell, and he's like he occasionally looks like longingly at a photo of his girlfriend named Angela, and she like calls and tries to tell him to like come back. It's funny. It's a good bit. Okay,
Yeah.
so he lives with his daughter. They seem to have a pretty fun relationship. She
He's a good dad. He's put all of himself into being the father that he needs to be for her since she doesn't have a mother.
Other than he is extremely overprotective. He seems to always have her come directly home.
Well,
after
his wife did die in an earthquake, Dan.
Yeah.
So you think the earthquake's stalking her to finish the job?
I've seen
I thought
Jaws
we were watching
4.
Earthquake 4: The Revenge, and now the earthquake was going to follow them.
I mean, I understand psychologically why he might be overprotective. I'm just saying that is his flaw as a father, I think.
I see. Yeah, that's true. Although, if he had been watching her more closely, maybe she wouldn't have gone into the woods and gotten possessed by the devil.
The devil district.
Maybe she would have had wandered into the hell part of the woods, yeah.
So they play hide and seek a little bit. They argue about vegetarianism. She's super curious about her mom, but he's very protective about his dead wife's things. And is kind of, he keeps things from his daughter. I guess it's out of a sense of his own loss, whatever. At school, Angela meets up with her friend Catherine, and they make plans to sneak off into the woods after school and lie to both of their parents so that they can go off and do a seance. So
and now
Angela
they
can
don't
talk
expect
to
anything.
her mom.
They don't expect anything bad to happen. Their plans are pretty simple. Into the woods, into the woods, into the woods, and home before dark. That's the plan.
Yep. Is that a reference to a musical?
Wait, it very much is. The musical is called, wait, let me check my notes. Merrily We Roll Along.
Oh, okay. So they find they sneak off into the woods. They made plans you tell your parents that we're having stovetop at your house, and I'll tell my parents we're having stovetop at their house. And so
can we talk about that commercial for a moment? I was like, it's very funny that they are going to go to both houses. So their parents will know at a certain point that they are not actually having dinner at the other house, right?
I would
at least
imagine.
one of them, I think. Yeah, then, yeah. Well, what is the story then at that point? We tried to go over there, but we were cast out by the other parents.
I mean,
the door was locked.
The easiest answer is we ate stovetop there, and it was so good we wanted more, right?
That's true, but they're but they're trying to arrange can I have dinner at Bobby's house tonight? But then they're going to show up at their house and still have we went to Bobby's house and his parents had a key party, so they didn't want us around.
Yeah,
they're
that's
and you weren't invited.
Time, yeah.
I know you're close with them, but they didn't invite you.
Yeah. What is a key party, by the way? Oh, to shut us up, you're going to shove our mouths full of stovetop stuffing? Our plan worked.
Something's getting stuffed at that key party.
And home before dark.
Okay. So they wander off into the woods. They find like a ruined foundation of a building, and they climb down into the basement, and they have their little seance thing. Meanwhile, Leslie Odom Jr. is having a hell of a time with a photo shoot for this family because he's a photographer and he's doing a family photo, and this kid just won't behave, which is really, I think, one of the themes of this movie, kids acting crazy.
But kids also do the damnedest things.
Subliminal style, but not really because they're not that quick. Shots of devil faces over the kid for a couple parts of it. I'm like, what is this indicating?
It's indicating that some devil stuff's going to happen later, Dan, but it doesn't really make sense because the devil's not involved with that kid. But
and the thing is,
a different devil because in the Exorcist world, there's specific demons with specific names. It's not just the overall Satan devil. So maybe that kid's dealing with some other devil. And it's another side movie. Maybe
it's the Trappy's Red Devil.
And maybe it's the movie. Maybe it's the movie saying, "Hey, they bought a ticket for Exorcist Believer. Maybe they forgot that it's a devil movie. Let's remind them."
Yeah. They think it's a parenting movie up to this point. We got to remind them there's devils in this movie.
Check out this problem child.
Back home,
I mean,
this movie could be called Problem Child.
I mean, The Exorcist could also be. The original one could be called that.
This could be Problem Child 2 because there's two of them.
That's true. It would be funny if the Problem Child movies did at the end turn out that the devil was possessing the kid, but then the kid is so annoying that even the devil is like, I'm out of here, puts on a hat, picks up a suitcase, walks out.
Yeah. It's the same thing with the good son, that they're like, actually, it was the devil. And also, if you couldn't tell, he was actually the bad son.
For anyone
I saw the devil.
If you weren't paying attention.
For anyone who's not clear on the movie, now that you're walking out of the theater, he was the bad son.
It was ironically titled.
Because there's someone who's like, I don't know why they called it the good son. That son was bad. He was bad. Let me write a letter to my congressman about it.
How many like nanas went to that movie being like, I love seeing good sons do good stuff.
And then that kid grew up and was like, I can't wait to see Ana de Armas in this movie. And then went to see it and was like, how dare they? How dare they tease me with that? I'm going to sue the studio.
Dear Better Business Bureau, this son was mislabeled.
I would like to send in the unused portion.
Sir, you've devoured most of this movie.
Oh, uh-oh.
So, back home in an empty home because his daughter is off having a seance. He's going through the photos for the day, and like the lights start to flicker. That's a regular thing as demonic crap happens in this movie. It causes electrical stuff, and it causes like a weird distortion effect on his computer monitor. And you're like, what happened there? It's like when Sheev Palpatine beams in that Star Wars movie and his body looks all crazy. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. It is a little bit like that for a moment the movie turns into D. Snyder's Strangeland for a second, or Fear.com or something.
Yeah, this computer's twisted.
Demons are like solar flares. They're just gonna fuck with fields, electrical fields and
So
such.
of course the little girls never come home. The parents quickly cut through the ruse. They call around and figure out that the daughters were lying to them. They realize that they went off into the woods. So
they are not home before dark.
Yep, Victor and then the parents of Catherine all go off into the woods looking for their daughters. And now Catherine's parents. Catherine is like, her family's more religious.
According to the Wikipedia entry, they are Baptist, but they're church-going folk.
And it's Tony and something. I don't remember the mother's name.
Tony and Tina from Tony and Tina's Wedding, another New York theatrical tradition.
Wait, is that the one where one of them is Italian and one of them is? Are they both?
They're both Italian. They're both Italian. No, you're thinking of the play.
Okay.
My mother's Italian, my father's Jewish, and I'm in therapy.
Yes, I am thinking about that play.
Or maybe it's the other way around. My father's Italian, my mother's Jewish.
This one, the joke is just that they're Italian. Can you believe it?
Yeah, they're just and also they interact with you. It's like you're a guest at the wedding. This is Tony and Miranda West.
Okay,
I believe is her name.
So they search the woods. They find some evidence of their daughters, like a backpack. What am I saying? Yeah, backpack.
Do you have a stroke?
You really don't have children. That's a word you haven't used in many years.
A book
atrophy.
Pack? What's a book pack? Guys, what's happening to me?
What is going on?
Oh, am I possessed, I guess? I don't know.
So anyway, they've got a pile of books with a belt tied around it. They're hitting a hoop with a stick.
They go down. Leslie Odom Jr. goes down into the flooded basement area. Don't say anything gross, Dan. And he finds and there's a snake scare, which is nice and refreshing. Cats aren't the only animals that scare people. It's a snake this time.
Refreshing.
Snake goes wiggling past, and he's like, ah! And then he finds a discarded shoe. What's up with these girls? The parents get in a big fight at the police station. At first, they were working together to find their kids, but now they're like, they don't trust each other. Victor at one point is like, the one thing you need to know about me, I care about my daughter. I'm like, you're not on a fucking reality show, buddy. Like, it's fine. Like, we all assume you care about your daughter if you're here at this point.
Yeah, but it's similar to Leave the World Behind. There's a light shading of white couple doesn't trust black guy, black father. And a little bit of like, we're religious, you're not religious, so and they're like, we didn't even know your daughter was friends with our daughter, which he knew who his daughter's friends are. They don't. It's it's a classic parent conflict stuff in movies.
I think also early in the film setup, there is more of a sprinkling of kind of general unneighborliness from people that kind of indicates that they're sort of isolated a little bit in this suburban community, and it threatens to coalesce into a theme and never really does.
Well, it does in a way that one of the things I like about the movie, I don't like a lot about the movie. One of the things I do like is the general message is not we have to get in an exorcist, a priest, or an authority figure to do this. It is that a community has to come together to try to save these girls. And so early on, their neighbor, who the dad is always arguing with,
played by Ann Dowd. She's going to come in and help them. The parents are going to hopefully come together, but they don't trust each other at first. So if the movie was kind of better thought through, they could have had a really powerful message about
the thing that stops the devil from taking your children is when there's a community around you that can support you and your family. But they don't quite get there. But I think that's what they're working towards.
Well, and speaking of that, this argument leads to them arguing about whether or not the girl's disappearance might be related to a nearby transient community. They are worried that the girls had been kidnapped by, some people living nearby. And so there's like some elements of that. Leslie Odom Jr. goes to like a shelter and interviews some of these people. And, there's a little bit of spookiness, but there's not much.
Not much. This is almost like, it's less a red herring, which I think than just like a little cul-de-sac that they go on. And they don't do much with it. It's not really tied to the rest of the thing. And the movie's called The Exorcist Believer. So you know that a homeless person did not kidnap these girls. You know the devil's involved.
Well,
or a devil, not the devil. I'm sorry, I meant it's one of many.
Yep, it could be one of the New Jersey Devils hockey players.
This time it's some other thing. Yeah. I do think that like this is a sequel thing of we are taking a direct page from the first one and we're going to spend the first half of the movie like kind of trying to ground this in a very like realistic world. And as far as it goes, like I won't say it doesn't work because like honestly like the first half of the movie is the part that works best for me. But on the other hand, this many movies into an Exorcist series, you're not like, I wonder if this girl's really possessed or not,
And also, and especially because pretty much not too long after this, every character just goes all in on demon possession. And they're just like, yep, we got it. We you know what? We thought they might have run away. We thought a homeless person might have kidnapped them. Those are the only two options. So I guess it has to be a devil. Let's just go with it. And it feels very abrupt. The same way that when we watched The Pope's Exorcist, which had the added advantage of being silly, that the family is like, they're like, by the way, your kids are possessed. And the mom is like, of course, yes. Tell me what to do. Like there's no pushback at all.
Finally, someone sees it.
Yeah, and of course, that movie also features Russell Crowe just stunting on everybody with that crazy Columbo performance.
What a Vespa, that ridiculous accent. What a fun movie.
Okay, so Victor comes home.
We had to vote for the Writers Guild Awards, and I hadn't seen enough movies this year that I really liked, and The Pope's Exorcist was on there. I'm like, I'll nominate that. Whatever. Like, I'll vote for that to get nominated. That was fun.
Thumbs up.
It's not going to win.
So a few days into the disappearance, Victor comes home to find that his friend Stuart, there's a cool Stuart in this movie, that his friend Stuart has broken into his home and has brought a woman named Dr. Now, I only saw it written in the captions. I didn't actually hear him say the name. Is it Beehive or Behibe? How do you pronounce that?
It's spelled Beehive, like beehive with a V. I think it's Behibe, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I couldn't quite make out what the sound was either. Yeah.
And she's performing some kind of a ritual to bring the girls home, bring Angela home. And Victor is still a disbeliever, and it gets them out of his house. However, something happened because meanwhile, 30 miles away at a nearby farm, there's a sick horse, and they find the two girls in the barn. The girls are back.
The girls are back in town. The girls are back in town. They're actually out of town. They're in a barn on the outskirts of town.
So they interview the girls. The girls think they've only been missing for a few hours.
Who are your guys? They say to the girls.
Do we have beef? Who are you guys?
Yeah. Tell me about Lorne.
Which devils are your guys?
What did your dad do for a living? Yeah.
So
are you with Pazuzu or are you with Lamash too?
Oh, you gotta do Pazuzu.
Well, they're with Lamash too, who in ancient Sumerian lore was an enemy of Pazuzu. So,
cool. Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
That's why he had to.
You've been reading your fucking monsters manual.
Yeah, exactly. And
your fiend folio over there.
My Wikipedia manual that Lamash 2 went after children and unborn children, and Pazuzu was often invoked to protect birthing mothers against Lamash 2. And the Lamash 2 in the ancient Sumerian religion is like a hybrid monster with like a lion's head and stuff. That's not what we see in this movie.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like a Lamassu, which is one of the mount options for a Chaos Dwarf Sorcerer Lord in Warhammer Fantasy Battle,
Sure.
baby. Because they need to
Sure.
fly around on things, because Chaos Dwarf magic slowly corrupts their bodies and turns their bodies to stone.
Must
So
be
they need
the-
somebody to take their ass around, because they're just turned into like a statue man.
Must be the Benadryl that's making me suddenly sleepy.
No, let me pull up some images on my phone, dude. They're really cool. They have a beard. Okay, so
So they found the girls. The girls are
they
back.
find
in
the
town.
girls. The girls are back in town. The girls think they've only been gone for a few hours, but in fact, they've been gone for 3 days. What? However, there's no other signs of anything like wrong with them.
Well,
they
except for one thing, they have burns on their feet.
Oh wow, were they? How'd that happen? Were they sunning the bottoms of their feet?
Well, I think that's what they check at first. They go, "Oh, are there sun lamps in the barn?" No, it's because when you're walking around hell, you might as well be walking on the sun.
Oh, man, remember when music was good, guys?
Yeah. Hey now, you're possessed now. You're a demon. Go play. Hey now, Exorcist
just
now.
gonna cut all
Be
this shit
believer
out.
So
and
much
say.
singing this episode.
Okay, so go on. Do you have more singing to do? You got
I
another
can't
paragraph?
get enough of Lamash too, right or wrong.
It's also a Smash Mouth song.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Did it?
So and there is a sequence.
Exorcist believer, I couldn't leave her if I tried. I know that's a cover Smash Mouth did of a
yeah,
monkey song.
but no.
Just,
Still an
for a
impressive.
while.
You found multiple links there. So.
I thought demons were only in The Exorcist, and so forth. That's all the Smash Mouth songs I know. So we're
back
done.
to the show. Okay, so there is
Elliot's
He
similar
gets
has been-
possessed, but he gets up again. Nobody's going to exorcist. I know that's Chumbawamba, but
This is actually really great that Elliot is, making us go through this excruciating ritual, because the movie makes us watch a sequence where the girls are then checked to see if they have been assaulted by someone.
Yeah.
yes, and that's not fun.
Which is unpleasant.
yeah.
But I guess I get what the movie's trying to do with it. It's horrifying.
They're saying who's the real monsters? The medical establishment, perhaps?
yeah.
That's the message.
Vaxxed.
Yeah.
Okay, so Angela.
Hashtag do the research. Exorcist believer.
Do your own research.
Don't really though.
Angela goes back home with her dad, and she, before bed, she explains that they went off into the woods to do a seance. She was trying to contact the spirit of her mother, but she was not able to do it. Meanwhile, she's still acting a little bit weird, and we occasionally get like ghostly figures behind people.
There's a real good moment. I
it's a
rewound it
good
because I
scare.
wanted to watch it again with a ghostly kind of child image behind her dad in the
not
night, which was good.
not unlike a Reagan from the original The Exorcist.
Yes. And is this around the time that she surprises her dad while he's brushing his teeth?
Yeah. There's a sequence where he puts her down to bed, and then he's going into the bathroom, and the lights keep flickering again. That is a sign of demons, and she just appears next to him.
And I
he's
was like,
"Get to
She's
bed."
like, what'd you say?
it was a
She
really
said
good.
something.
It's really. She goes, "What'd you say?" And it was a really good reappearance. Partly, it worked really well. I felt for me, but also I have lived that so many times. Not the light flickering, but me just brushing my teeth and then suddenly turning to see one of my children has gotten out of bed and is standing there, and I didn't realize it. Going, "What did you say?" And I'm like, "I wasn't talking to you." And then I have to lead them back to their bed. That happens all the time. So, Exorcist believer, I feel seen. Thank you.
Yeah. This is before your kids pick on you and stuff you into a toilet.
Stuff me in
or
a
whatever.
cabinet. Yeah. Would you say nerd? Then they stuff me in the bathroom cabinet. Yeah.
Okay, so again, more flickering lights, ghosts. I honestly expected more jump scares in this
Yes.
sequence, but it's actually pretty restrained. In the morning, when he, after making her favorite breakfast, pancakes and ice cream, he finds her in bed sleeping on top of the covers like she's staying at a fucking cheap motel. But she is peed all over the bed. So he takes her into the bathroom to try and get her cleaned up. And then he walks away, and he comes back, and she's missing, and the tub is filled with brackish, dirty water and fingernails. And then he finds her. She attacks him with his dead wife's scarf, and she is ranting, and he has to hold her down, and they have to take her to the hospital and have her committed, basically sedated. And
Yeah.
committed.
And he does I think some really good. I don't want to touch these pee sheets acting in this sequence.
Yeah,
Realistically, like looking at the bed, like, okay, how am I going to approach this?
Yeah.
Elliot's like, you get used to it.
You do get. I mean, that was the thing. For a single person, I understand, or someone, a childless person. You're not single. You're married. I understand completely. But when you have children, yeah, you're so used to touching their waist in different ways. Like it's just.
I presume it's been a few years though for this character.
Oh, for this character
know,
maybe,
man.
but
Yeah,
I feel like it would be like riding a bicycle made out of poop. They'd all come flooding back, and you'd know how to do it. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Catherine.
A bicycle made of poop.
Meanwhile,
Catherine is in
upon the seat.
No.
So many songs.
Daisy,
The
give me your
Flophouse
answer.
sings.
Do. Eh?
Down to 1 star on iTunes. How did this happen?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's fair, you know.
We're up so high for so long.
Yeah.
A bipartisan bill in
down
Congress banning the Flophouse.
Yeah.
Finally,
Wow.
something Democrats and Republicans can agree on, they say.
It's not even a writer. It's the thing that they tack on writers too because they know it's going to pass.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Catherine's parents have taken her to church. The pastor, priest, whatever, is giving a sermon about Catherine coming back to them. She is acting.
He seems real smug. He's a real smug pastor.
Yeah, and she is not acting normal at this point. She's kind of dazed. At one point, she's like fiddling under her skirt, which I'm like, I don't like this. And then during communion, she disappears, only to come back into the church covered in communion wine, which looks like blood. And she just keeps shouting, "The body and the blood," over and over until she is tackled. And of course, "The Body and the Blood" sounds like a great death metal song. I would totally listen to that shit.
That's what happens to me when I get into the communion wine too. So I get it.
Yeah. Dan, you spent some time in the church. Is this exactly your experience as well?
We didn't have actual wine. It was grape juice. My denomination is, I think, the only Protestant one that would take communion every Sunday.
Uh-huh.
Typically, that's a Catholic thing, and then other, Protestant sects do it at Easter. I said
is this
sects.
but it was saying they were
clear.
Baptist. Is this a Baptist thing?
I don't know how much Baptists take communion. Like I said, I think that it's not typically an every Sunday thing outside of Catholics.
And after she wanders in shouting "The body and the blood" over and over, she is tackled and she is also taken to the sedated and taken to the hospital.
Yeah.
Ba 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 ba. They want her sedated.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where
this is just a musical episode of the Flophouse.
It's so musical.
People love it. They're like, remember that
That's
Buffy
the
musical
thing.
episode? That's great. But when I do it, suddenly people don't like it.
If we market it that way, so people know what to expect, you don't want this to be a Mean Girls situation where some people get in there and they're like, "Oh, I didn't sign up for this."
Did you see the video that was going around on Twitter where the song starts and the audience just starts laughing? Ugh, I felt so bad.
That's too bad.
For the filmmakers. They should have marketed it as a musical. Though.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I am going to be recommending, this is a spoiler for the rest of the episode, I am going to be recommending a musical today. So it's,
Oh.
it's
And I
almost
wanna be
like
clear.
you guys read my mind.
I liked the Mean Girls musical too. So
Oh, okay. Cool.
good.
Okay. That's
It's not my recommendation.
2 thumbs up.
but-
Oh, it's not your
Yeah,
recommendation.
but you can go see it if you like.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't need
Dan
my
won't
Dan's
stop
allowing
you.
you to go see it.
Hey,
Movie
You-
goalie Dan is going to be like, I'll let this one pass.
you don't have to take my word for it. I said world.
You don't have to take your word
You
for
don't
it
have to
either.
you don't have to take my world from me,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you can't. You son of a bitch.
Who are you, Dio Brando? Okay, so the parents have a chit chat at this point, and Victor is talking to Catherine's parents, and Catherine's parents reveal that she was supposed to be baptized, but they did not baptize her, and it's like, uh-oh.
They
And
put it off until her grandmother could show up, but that was just a couple days too long.
Yeah. Thanks, Grandma. So they're very much in the camp like, our daughter's possessed. We need to do something about this. Victor, he doesn't quite believe that. He's still dubious.
And I guess this tells you, baptism. It's like chipping your pets. It's a thing you do for safety ahead of time. You're Scotch guarding them against devil.
This is where I have two issues with this, like you were talking about earlier, Dan. One is, so the baptism, so So the devil would have been like, oh, rats! You have a force field around you from baptism. You're like, you've got a seal I can't open.
Boink.
It's like a child lock on a medicine bottle. But also like, my kids are not baptized. Is this movie telling me that they are at greater risk of demons?
Yes.
Look, I agree with you that I normally don't bump up against supernatural stuff. I'm just on board. I will accept whatever shit you're trying to sell me in the context of fiction most of the time. I do have more trouble with this. And look, I grew up religious. I'm not saying I'm not religious at all. But I'm saying that at this point in my life, my conception of religion is a lot more amorphous and I don't know, just sort of personal than any. I don't believe that there's a set of magic spells you can do to keep the devil to keep.
You don't believe that religion operates like the same way that Warhammer operates, where there are rules you have to follow according to how you roll and things like that.
I want to hear Elliot explain the rules of Warhammer to me right now.
So anyway, you roll to see who goes first. Then then you take you gotta pick your guys. You line up all your figurines and you pick them. Yep. You take turns picking them, and then what you do is you got to come up with your scenario. And the way you do that is you pick one of 3 scenario cards. That's a beginning card. Then what you have to do is you look at the color of that card, and you have to collect those color chips. They're around the board in different places.
Yep.
And now there's also the special die. There's one special die that's hidden in the room. If you find it, you get an extra life. That extra life can be traded in for 100 gold chit credits. Now the gold chit credits
even
are,
joke listening to
they're also stickers. And you can stick them on your figures, and that gives them qualified immunity, which means they can't be prosecuted for things they do in the line of duty as Warhammer figures.
You're right.
Yeah.
I say all this about not believing in magical spells, but I also I appreciate what the movie's trying to do at the end by not making it like a specific religion, by not making it like, oh, Catholics specifically have figured out how to protect us against demons. It is a conglomeration of different believers.
They do a couple times. They're like, different people are like, I've studied all the ways of doing this and all the different religions, but it mainly comes down to Catholic stuff.
Yeah. But then the weird thing is that makes me believe it even less at the end. I'm like, well, if it's all amorphous, then what the fuck are we doing here? Like, how are we casting this demon out? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Even no matter how ecumenical they try to make it, at the end, it's still usually Jesus' name that is making the demon scream and turn into fart dust and fly out of the girls' bodies.
I hate that guy. They say as they run for the door.
Meanwhile,
him again. He's going to tell me more of his stories.
Meanwhile, Nurse Ann Dowd is looking after
playing a character
Angela,
named Anne.
Playing a character named Anne, which I love, and also it's nice when Ann Dowd shows up. Like I'm in good hands here. She's got this.
Yes.
So she gets she's looking after Angela, who wakes up demon style and begins terrorizing her, making allusions to a previous pregnancy and abortion. And then there's a scene where blood is spreading out all over her sheets. And then Ann Dowd goes and talks to Victor and is like, yo, this girl's possessed. She knew stuff that nobody else knew.
She knew I was going to be a nun at one point. She knew my name as a nun, which I never told anybody else. This girl is hella possessed. And I mean that, pun very much intended.
Pun very much intended. So Victor decides to start doing his own research, just like Dan.
Hey.
And he immediately finds a bunch of news stories about Chris McNeil, the mother from The Exorcist.
Ellen Burstyn.
Learns a little bit about her history, and
she bursts into the movie.
He tracks her down and goes to her
all
home.
over with talent.
So he shows up to Chris McNeil's home, Ellen Burstyn's home. Probably not her actual home. I'm guessing it's the character.
No, I think that she wanted to do the role so little that she said, if I'm going to be in this movie, you're going to have to come to my house to shoot it. I don't even want to leave my house. So the story behind Ellen Burstyn being in this movie is apparently she said, I don't want to be in this. And so they doubled the money they offered. And she's like, okay, I can donate this to a college, I think, to endow a fellowship. But she said something that I read in the trivia section that was about that she was like, it felt like the devil was testing my price when they were negotiating with me to do this movie.
Did you also read the trivia about William Friedkin?
Yes. William Friedkin was like, I'm going to haunt this guy. Apparently William Friedkin was like, the guy who made Pineapple Express is going to ruin my best movie. But
notoriously chill dude, William Friedkin. So Victor talks to Chris McNeil, who explains some stuff about she's she's not a priest or an exorcist, but she studied all this stuff and that she thinks she can be helpful. So they join
And
forces.
she also mentions that her daughter Regan and her have lost touch with each other. It's been years since they last talked.
I think for this trilogy to work, we're going to need a big reveal at the end. Let's find out. So
let's watch what happens live.
Yeah, they join forces and head back to Victor's hometown, where they go to visit Angela, who is in like full-on demon mode at this point, crawling all over the walls, being extra scary. They're like, oh, we can't do anything with that. So they
it's
they
also
have
one
to
of those
go.
things where it's like we're not sure if it's a medical problem or not. And meanwhile, she has like devil face. Like she looks like a demon has taken over her body. She doesn't look like herself,
So they go to try and find Catherine, but Catherine's family has taken her home out of the hospital. So they go to the home and we're like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Because like the family's like cowering in the kitchen. They're terrified of this demon girl running around the house.
What is it about getting people together in a house? You've got a girl who's possessed by the devil in another room. You've got the refreshments are all in the living room. Everyone still always ends up in the kitchen. They always end up gathering and cowering in the kitchen. You're like, guys, there's a whole house that we can be afraid of the demon girl in. No, they just want to hang out in the kitchen.
Just want to hang out in the kitchen. I think that's a little bit of human nature. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I mean,
that's where all the chips are.
But
anyway.
it is true. It is. The last time Audrey and I had a party, we're like, we'll put a bunch of food in this central room away from the kitchen to lure everyone away. No one.
No, they go to the kitchen.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I brought this bowl of chips back into the kitchen. Mind if I eat them here?
Yeah. But the only way to keep them away from your kitchen, the room, is to have legendary comic book publisher Dennis Kitchen in your apartment at your party, and people just follow him around.
Okay, so again, they find the family cowering in the kitchen. Chris follows the demon girl upstairs. This is where we get this loving scene, a touching tribute to great actor Ellen Burstyn.
Well, yeah, they're really making the best of Ellen Burstyn and really treating her with respect.
Where she has a conversation with the demon before it climbs up on her and stabs her eyes out with a cross.
Yeah, not outside of Scatman Crothers in The Shining. Rarely has there been a character set up to like come in to help out and dispatched immediately from.
Yeah, there's like two of those moments. There's another one coming up, but this one was particularly rough because you're like,
did you guys
she
feel
just
when you
got
watched it?
here.
Yeah, she just got here. This is the big star from the first movie. Did you also feel, as I did, that it was a huge disrespect? Like it was like, hey, if it's like if Scatman Crothers had been the star of The Shining 1 and they bring him back for Shining 4 and then just chop him in the stomach with an axe.
Yeah. And
or
just pushed him off a cliff.
Yeah.
Or like they're doing like Godfather 6. It's a reboot of the Godfather franchise. They bring in Al Pacino and then whoever's playing the new Godfather just pees on him in a scene. And you're like, wait, what?
Godfather Calvin. That's wild. It'd be one thing if like we read up on Ellen Burstyn. She's like, no, I'm just really into makeup effects, and I thought it'd be awesome if my eyeballs got knocked out.
If she was like Harrison Ford with Star Wars, and she's like, I'm just tired of being in these movies,
I'll only do it if you blind the character.
Yeah.
I think my guess is that I wouldn't be surprised if an earlier version of the script had more of her in it. And then, this is just me theorizing, and then she said, you have me for 3 days. And they said, oh, okay, I guess we got to move up her mutilation scene earlier in the film.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know.
Okay, so they again, at this point, Catherine gets taken away. They're worried that, like, I guess her parents are concerned that she's going to get in trouble or something, I would imagine.
Well, this might be on her permanent record that she had a devil inside her and she stabbed a lady in the eyes. Yeah. This could hurt her chances to get into Cornell.
She'll just argue, devil inside. Every single one of us, devil inside.
She's like, every single one of us, Your Honor.
Yeah.
What a band. What a band, right?
And she goes, hold on, wait, let me go into my closet. Where's my blue dress? Devil in a blue dress, blue dress, blue dress.
Yeah, it's the devil inside medley now.
Yeah. Okay.
What else can the devil be in?
Meanwhile,
Georgia, I guess, once he went down there.
Yeah, he did go down there. He was in Georgia. That's true, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Father Maddox.
A devil can be in disguise because she looks like an angel, but she's a devil in disguise. However
Sue's
that song
back
goes.
to his texting.
Checking my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Game on. Okay. So Father Maddox applies to the Catholic Church for an exorcism and fails to get permission.
They say denied. It can't happen.
Way. They
They're
stamp
basically
it denied.
They're basically like the church's insurance can't handle the liability of an exorcism.
Like, yeah, that's the problem with the Catholic Church right now. Okay, and then Victor goes to Chris to apologize for getting her eyes knocked out, and she is—I gotta say, she takes this pretty well. Like she's like in pretty good spirits.
She's like, I knew the risk going in. It's okay, you know.
Yeah, she's like, them. You know, that's what happens. You live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Anyway, once I get my robot eyes, and they're like, did they tell you you're getting robot eyes?
Yeah.
She's like, those eyes were crying. They'd seen a lot of love, but they'd never seen another like you. Like me? Are we in love right now? Yes, we are in love. Did you not know that that's the only reason I came to your house to help you with your daughter is that I'm in love with you? Oh, this is awkward. I'm kind of still not over my wife yet. It's been years, Leslie Odom Jr.
Yeah.
He's like, actually, my character's name is Victor. Yeah.
So she gives this like monologue about how people all over the world are doing exorcisms. You just got to get everybody together. And so she convinced them like, you just got to do your own exorcism family style.
She has a book that says it takes a village to exorcise a child. Yeah.
Yeah. So
family style.
The whole gang shows up. A whole gang shows up at Victor's house. You got Victor. You got Stuart. You got Dr. Beehod. You got I think the priest from the church.
The priest shows up eventually. He doesn't show
later.
First he shows up and he's like, "Hey, you shouldn't do this." And Anne is like, "I was a nun for a minute. I can do this." And then later he comes back. Yeah.
And Catherine's parents show up and they bring an older guy with them. Is that their?
That's their pastor. Yeah, that's their pastor from their church. Yeah.
And they make a little summoning circle and they tie the girls into chairs in the middle of it and they hook them both up to like heart rate monitors and we see that both their hearts are beating at the exact same time. It's like they're one body.
Yeah.
The priest shows up, he delivers the bad news, and then he goes and sits out in his car and prays and I don't know, like eats some McDonald's or something. I don't know what he's doing out there.
He's just on a stakeout. He's on a priest stakeout of The Exorcist.
Okay, exorcism begins. We start with
round one.
Yeah, round one. Nurse Anne starts reading some Bible stuff, and it doesn't really work. The demon's like doing scary stuff, and then they bring up her abortion again, and she gets a little bit shook. We learned some of the rules here is that they can't touch the kids while this whole thing's going on. Makes sense because they're demons. They take a little bit of a break, and then Dr. Bahibe comes back and like drips like holy water on them, and that seems to work because they start barfing out like vapor clouds out of their mouths.
Vicks Vapo demon. Yeah,
and then somehow like smoke from the like magic smoke from the fireplace and the vapor like getting a fight or something. It's kind of weird.
That part, to be honest, I couldn't quite follow what was going on.
Yeah, I didn't quite know what was going on.
But the characters really seem to understand. The characters really seem to understand what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, something's happening. The demon offers the parents a choice. If they pick one of the girls, that one will survive. The other one will die.
Have you talked about the revelation that the demon makes about Victor's choice years earlier?
Oh, we haven't mentioned that, but we can explain, Elliot.
The demon, he reveals that Victor, when years ago in Haiti, when the man said, "We can save your wife or your daughter," and we assume he chose his daughter because that's who's alive right now. The demon reveals that Victor did not choose his daughter. He said, "Keep my wife alive," but it didn't work, and the doctors didn't listen to him, and instead Angela survived and the wife did not. And so this is seen. I think the demon is trying to break their bond and shame him that was a pre-birth betrayal, I guess, of his daughter Angela.
But the weird thing is, I don't think Stuart will be mad that I jump ahead a little bit to make this point. The weird thing is, like,
are you jumping to the credits after the movie?
Well, no. So let me quickly say the other family, like the Norbert Leo Butz loses faith or whatever, and he's like, I want to save my kid. Like the community is broken,
much to the consternation of his wife, played by Jennifer Nettles, Grammy Award-winning singer,
which leads to the demon taking that kid, like, ha, 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 I'm taking the one that you say you want to save and leaving the other one behind in like a weird, like, reversal of like the wisdom of Solomon or something where it's like, but here's my problem with a lot of the stuff in the movie thematically. Like, I guess the idea is that his journey is that he's getting his faith back, and that's the important thing. He doesn't break and like choose one kid over the other. But in the context of the movie, it also plays like, well, he didn't want the kid the first time around. He wanted his wife. And now the way to save his kid is by rejecting her a second time and not saying like, no, I want you. Like,
I guess that's true.
Keeping
I think
quiet. It's kind of a weird.
I think they didn't think that through.
Themselves into.
No,
That's
I mean,
true.
I think that's one of the. I would argue. I think that's one of the issues with David Gordon Green's Halloween movies is that there's a lot of things in there that don't feel like they don't feel all the way thought through. They they might make sense in the immediate moment, but like on the whole, doesn't make sense.
I also think this movie was reshot a lot, from what I understand. It was very like taken away from him. So I don't lay this necessarily fully at his feet.
Yeah,
as much
and that's you're probably right.
It's very possible. It is internally inconsistent that the lesson is supposed to be we have to stay unified. The only way to stay safe is to stay unified. We have to be, and the dad breaks it. The other dad breaks it, but that. Yeah, he has to save his daughter by once again refusing to save her.
But
although Dan, maybe that ties into he's too much of a helicopter parent earlier. Now it's like, you know what? I can't save you. You got to deal with these devils for yourself sometimes.
I think the message is less you need to like reject saving your child and more don't listen to demons.
Well, yeah, I mean obviously the demons are lying to you, but the funny thing about that too is like, once someone does make the choice, the demons are like, well, I'm bound to take the other one because I've been trolling you. Like I'm bound to take the one that you're saying that you want to save because I've been trolling you and I'm a trickster. But then that means that I am going to let the other girl go. I guess I have to only take one. Rather than just being like,
I mean, that demon knew that two kids was too much. They weren't going to be able to eat that much.
Yeah.
Some demons, their eyes are bigger than their stomachs. Yeah.
We did jump ahead slightly.
Okay,
so
we did jump past one of the more fun scenes in the movie.
Mid exorcism, they're like, this doesn't seem to be working. All of a sudden, the door bursts open. Father Maddox is like, fuck what the church says. I'm going to do an exorcism. He walks in.
He's going to kick ass for Christ, just like in what is it, Dead
Those
Alive?
kids. Yeah, they're not loving that.
It's
the opposite of McDonald's for them. They're not loving it. He puts his hands on their forehead. He's reading those words. They're flipping out. All of a sudden, they start twisting their necks. His neck starts twisting. What? His neck twists all the way around and he dies. Whoops.
Yeah, they snap his neck from the inside, and it's one of those things where it feels like, oh, right, yeah, because The Exorcist is all about like head turnings. Like it's all about turning your head all the way around.
Yeah, well, there's another part.
It's still cool.
At which
that effect is very fun. It's a cool moment. I wish it was one of the few moments in the movie where it was like, oh, this movie is coming alive for a moment. It's doing something kind of like wild, but it does feel like, hey, remember this from the first Exorcist when her head turns around? They do that too.
There's another moment, I forget the exact line, but where one of the demons like says a line from the first movie to a room full of people that were not there for the initial event. So I'm like, what is this sassy callback? Like, who is this for? Like people who've seen The Exorcist only.
So, after the priest dies.
It's like that moment in that second Star Trek J.J. Abrams movie where he goes, my name is Khan. And I wanted the characters to be like, okay,
what is that?
Who's Khan? Like, what does that mean?
Have we met?
So it's like, so you're Khan. So what does Khan do? I don't understand. How you Khan? What?
Is it CON? Like you're a con man?
I mean, you seem British, so that's a little confusing.
Yeah, are you related to Shere Khan, the tiger from the Jungle Book? Because that would be weird. You're a person, I think.
Not a
it's
tiger.
The future. Maybe you're a tiger man, like one of the Kazin. There's a cat people, but still.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or the Hakan Emirates Trading Alliance in Twilight Imperium.
Yeah, Dan, do you know any other fictional cat people? Not from the movie Cat People. Don't say that. That's too easy.
The Sleepwalkers from the film Sleepwalkers.
Sleepwalkers,
Very
technically
good.
correct.
Technically Cat People. You got it. You did it.
So
I'll allow it. Put Dan on the board in the Cat People game.
Okay, so I'm finally on the board.
Yeah, you're on the board. So this is where Victor tries to make a play to get in on the action. He takes the scarf, his wife's scarf, and wraps it around Angela's neck. Doesn't seem to really work. At this point, this is where Tony chooses his own daughter to save. He just says,
Tony,
I choose
Tony,
you.
Tony.
At which point, Angela starts...
I choose. Catches her in a little Pokeball. Yep, yeah.
Angela starts to float up in the air. And then
Angela's
she
ashes.
barfs like a blood vortex on the ceiling.
This is, and it's like all CGI blood vomit. It was so silly. This part should be scary, but it's super silly. Yeah.
And she gives her dad this like crazy headbutt that throws him across the room. It's like that was pretty cool. It's very Dragon Ball Z.
Before this, when he gives her that scarf, Victor has also been reciting the Lord's Prayer. He has got his faith back, which understandably, if you're like, I don't believe in God, and then the devil possesses your daughter, and the only thing that seems to stop her is saying Christ's name, then that's a way to get your faith back. And then when it's not faith anymore, it's been proved.
Honestly, the easiest way to get your faith back. Like, I would jump on that so hard. I'd be like, okay.
I mean, it's not even faith at that point because you're like, that's a proven thing that's happening.
Yeah,
I have seen evidence. Yeah, this is no longer on faith, and God's like, oh shit, I screwed it up. It was supposed to be faith.
Whoops. Whoopsies.
I think this means you're not saved. Sorry. Well, what if you just erase the memory of what happened from my mind so I can regain my faith? Hey, can't do it. That would be futzing with the rules. I'm on the board. I can't get. They'd take me off the board if I did that.
So Angela collapses on the ground. She flatlines, and we're like, Tony, what did you do? But then, and his daughter, Catherine, seems to recover. But then we get some like flashbacks to the moment when her mother was getting her belly blessed. And then there's like a switcheroony, and Catherine flatlines, and Angela wakes up.
Is that the implication that she had extra help? Not because she wasn't baptized.
I don't know.
That was like the first baptism in utero.
Yeah, she had double reverse anti-possession.
I don't know. Yeah. She has the Uno reverse card on her soul.
She's been holding it in reserve.
Joke's on you, Lamashtu. You have to draw 4 wild. No,
that's the worst. That's the thing, because at that point you're like, Lamashtu is riding high on the horse, and all of a sudden he's got a handful of cards, and he is
just
SOL.
got one card. Something's fine. And Lamashtu's like, well, I've got every card except green. At least he won't say green. And he goes, green. Oh, I've got to keep drawing the cards. No.
Okay.
Defeat from the jaws of victory, yeah.
So Angela recovers, and Dr. Bahibe reaches over and snuffs out one of 2 candles. What? How meaningful. Everyone tries to move on with their lives. And then in a convalescence room, Chris is sitting there, and she is visited by her daughter Reagan from the first movie. What? Linda Blair's here? End of movie. Thumbs up from no one.
I loved you in Savage Streets, he says. That's
we
what
did
it hurts,
it.
right?
We made it through Exorcist Believer.
Yeah.
So there's two kinds of believing in this. So Victor, he regains his faith, he becomes a believer. And also
because he's like, that is my only option at this point.
Yes, and that, but also like Chris McNeil has become like the ultimate believer. Like she believes in all religions because they're all about demon fighting. But also, I guess like Reagan at the end is now a believer in like the need to have a relationship with her mother. So there's a lot of belief going on. The title makes sense, is what I'm saying. It's a great title.
Yeah. This last scene, by the way, like it comes at the end of a bunch of crap and the movie doesn't earn it, but it's weird how effective like it can be just on its own level. Just like, oh yeah, they're back in the same room together. That's nice.
Yeah.
What was the scene that affected me the most in Dial of Destiny, a movie that I thought was fairly mediocre, at the very end when it's Harrison Ford and Karen Allen back in the same room again? You know, it's like, oh, I like them in that other movie, and I like that they had to spend time together another day, you know, for my amusement.
Yeah, I get
it. I'm the puppet master. That's got really ominous. Somehow.
I demand you get back together, fictional characters who, yes, you were reunited once in another movie a while ago, but I kind of forgot that happened.
That one was pretty weak. So
yeah,
this marginally better one is. Okay. So this
The
is
Exorcist Believer should have been. So this was supposed to be the first movie in a trilogy, and I don't know if they're making the other 2 because
I believe they are because I think
there's a
in the
stipulation.
contract.
Yeah,
it is. Oh, because they spent. I was reading about it. The rights to make this series was like $400 million or something like that for the distribution rights. And this movie did not do that well. It wasn't a huge failure, but it didn't do that well. But Believer should be the 3rd one in the series. It should be like The Exorcist Apostate, and then like The Exorcist Conversion, and then like The Exorcist Believer.
I think the next one is Exorcist Deceiver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like the song Dreamer Deceiver, or just Deceiver? Oh, it's a great 2-song duo from Judas Priest. Yeah.
I because of international monies and such, like this movie did well, actually. it was a $30 million budget. It made $137 million. So it was a big return on investment, despite being not
for production,
good.
maybe. But again, that doesn't cover marketing costs or just the cost of the distribution rights, which were so expensive.
I understand, but 30 to 130, like someone's making enough money off of this too that it's not.
Well, and the theory that when they made those distribution rights, they made that purchase. I'm assuming they had factored in that there was going to be 3 movies.
Yes, I think that's fair. So you're right. Deceiver is the second one, although it seems it has been removed from the schedule so far. And I wonder if the third one's going to be like The Exorcist Reaver.
Yeah.
What else we got? Receiver,
Griever.
The
The Exorcist Devo. I mean, if you have like a certain accent, then that rhymes. The Exorcist John Cheever.
Yep.
What else we
Cheeser.
got?
The Exorcist.
Little Caesar.
We could bring a beaver into the
Exorcist
mix.
Beaver. Yeah, it's a beaver that's been possessed by the devil.
The Exorcist Dreamweaver.
Yeah. The Exorcist Lever 2000. Yeah.
Oh man, these are great. Okay.
This is the part where we.
The Exorcist Steve-O.
Okay, that doesn't. It's a slant rhyme at best. What are we doing?
You're right.
We're
That's
doing
the main
our
problem
final...
with The Exorcist Steve-O as the third movie in the trilogy. Oh, can you believe? Look, he must be possessed by the devil. He's stapling his testicles to his leg. No, actually, this is just what he does.
It's just kind of my thing. Is this a good bad movie, a bad movie, or a movie you kind of like? I'm going to say that, for the first 30 minutes, it wasn't that I thought it was great, but I'm like, oh, this movie's a lot better than I was led to believe. And then it took a steep nosedive, and I will say it's just bad. Stuart?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about a lot of the flaws of the movie. I feel like for the most part, kind of like Elliot, I have a little bit of trouble doing these like demon possession movies because they so often rely on like an acceptance of Judeo-Christian bullshit, which is, it's hard. It's a hard hurdle for me to clear. I mean, I wish it had been a little more fun. I mean, I feel like I like Evil Dead's and your When Evil Lurks and that kind of gross out kind of possession.
But even the first Exorcist movie, which is a very somber and like stoic movie in a lot of ways, has fun parts and parts that are wild. And like when audiences went to see it, they didn't walk out going, that was a somber, rough experience. They walked out going like, did you see that? What?
That
like
was
it was a huge hit
nuts!
because it's kind of a fun movie to watch. And this doesn't have that. Yeah.
Well, but also that movie, I mean, particularly at the time, was truly transgressive. It had some horrifying things for like a child to be doing and saying about a major religion. Like all these, like in this movie does not even touch like the idea of being transgressive in any way. Like this is a bog standard horror movie.
Yep.
I think that's what it is for me. It feels just very, and it wouldn't be. It doesn't surprise me if it's true that it was kind of taken away and redid, or it feels like ironically for a movie whose message is all about how it takes a group working together to save a child. It feels like it's kind of a committee made horror movie where there's not a lot of real vision or excitement behind it. So it's it's kind of a disappointing movie.
Yeah, I feel like probably a lot of the negative things that I would target the director with are mainly just complaints about general like nostalgia bait legacy sequel stuff that rather than any specific critiques of an individual.
Have you ever wanted to know the sad lore behind Chuck E. Cheese's love of birthday parties?
Or my Saturday mornings were reserved for cartoons?
Or have you wanted to know how beloved virtual pet site Neopets fell into the hands of Scientologists?
Or how a former Mattel employee managed to grow Sega into a video game powerhouse?
Join us, hosts Austin and Brenda, and learn all of these things and more at Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries, now on Maximum Fun.
The following are real reenactments of pretend emergency calls.
911. My husband! It's my husband! Calm down, please. What about your husband? He loads the dishwasher wrong. Please help! Please help me! Where are you now, ma'am? At the kitchen table. I was with my dad. He mispronounced his words intentionally.
There are plenty of podcasts on the hunt for justice, but only one podcast has the courage to take on the silly crimes. Judge John Hodgman, the only true crime podcast that won't leave you feeling sad and bad and scared for once. Only on MaximumFun.org.
Hello there. Before getting into our ads for this week, I just want to mention that we have some exciting live shows coming up. You can check out flophousepodcast.com/events for upcoming live shows. Didn't we just go on tour? Yes, we did, but we have a hunger for going out there and hobnobbing with all you beautiful people on Sunday, March 31st. That is Easter Sunday at the Bell House in Brooklyn, New York. There's a show where the doors open at 7 for a 7:30 show. And for our first shows ever outside of our home continent, we'll be doing 2 shows in Oxford, England on May 24th at Oxford Town Hall as part of the brand new Oxford Podcast Festival. There will be an early and a late show, one at 7, one at 9 p.m., and at 1, we're going to discuss The Avengers from 1998, starring Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman. And at the other one, we'll be talking Spice World, of course. Classic of British cinema, Spice World. So again, go over to flophousepodcast.com/events for all the information and ticket links for those shows in Brooklyn, New York on March 31st and in Oxford, England on May the 24th. And also, we have a couple of sponsors for this show. Our first sponsor is Rocket Money. Did you have any subscriptions maybe that you forget about and any you paid for twice and didn't realize it? Maybe you have a subscription that was otherwise tricky or time-consuming to cancel, or there's a subscription price increase that you didn't know about. Well, Rocket Money can help you with all of that. It can find extra subscriptions so you can cancel them. They can cancel ones for you that are too big of a hassle, make it difficult, and they can negotiate a change in a subscription price for you if it got changed on you and you didn't want it to. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. And they can even try and get you a refund for the last couple of months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you got to do, take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. They've got over 5 million users and have helped save its members an average of $720 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. This year, let's cancel those subscriptions. Let's Marie Kondo that, except for, of course, Maximum Fun. That's what pays the bills over here. Whew. Anyway, cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/flop. That is rocketmoney.com/flop. rocketmoney.com/flop. And also, our show is brought to you in part by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. Stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything. Your products, content you create, even your time. With Squarespace, you can gain powerful insights into who is visiting your site and how they're interacting with your content with our in-depth website analytics tools, including page views, most read content, audience geography, and more. Squarespace can help you get your business off the ground with e-commerce templates, inventory management, a simple checkout process, and secure payments. And with Fluid Engine, a next-generation website design system from Squarespace, you can start with a beautiful website template and customize every design detail with drag-and-drop technology for desktop or mobile. So, if I've convinced you, even if I haven't, why not head to squarespace.com/flop for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use offer code FLOP to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Hey, now it's time to answer some letters from listeners. like you. This first letter
If you
is,
like sending us letters
I guess
and
it had to
having
happen
us tell you stuff. If you like asking us questions, because one question's not enough,
Mhm.
then maybe send Dan a letter
Okay.
by the mail or the internet,
Mhm.
and we'll answer it someday if we haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
That's a song about somebody writing a letter to a podcast that they like because they think their partner doesn't like that podcast.
Yes,
but the thing
exactly.
is, their partner wrote the same type of
Partner
letter.
is
Yeah.
that podcast.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's O. Henry's gift of the podcast.
This is from Brad, last name withheld, who writes,
Brad Lander?
I was in Barcelona for my 40th birthday, and I took a run along the beach while listening to the Peaches discuss Kangaroo Jack.
The old Beach Peach, yep.
During the podcast, Elliot brought up Blue by Eiffel 65,
Mhm.
which I probably hadn't thought about for over a decade. The next day, I was in the Picasso Museum, and when I stepped into the room showcasing his Blue period, that song
Mhm.
was instantly stuck in my head.
The same song you listened to when he was painting those. That's why he did it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My first thought was, you did this, Elliot. You did this. Thanks for all the wonderful podcasts. That's from Brad.
You're welcome. I will actually tell a true story from my life, which is that
Oh.
just the day before yesterday, I was with my older son, Samuel, at a Cub Scout thing where people had to wear different color vests. And they're saying, okay, what vest are you? And someone said, I'm blue. And then it was all over after a little bit. And I said to Sammy, I applaud your self-restraint that you didn't say dabu-dee, dabu-die when the guy said I'm blue. And Sammy was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And I was like, it's the first thing I thought of. It's the first thing I always
Are you
think
even my
of.
son?
yeah.
Well, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
for
You're
that
welcome,
trip
Brad.
down
Yeah.
borderline novelty songs of the past lane.
Borderline.
Well, it's not like a flying purple people eater or,
It's
hello
pretty
mother,
close. I
hello
mean, they're both
father.
about aliens of different colors.
Yeah, I guess. This
Yeah, of all the novelty songs, Dan, you picked the wrong one as
Yeah.
a counterexample.
Dan brought receipts, but they were the wrong receipts, and he could not return the item.
there's
Now,
nothing
the-
in the song about a bikini that was itsy bitsy.
It's
And
also
also
about
had
colors. It's also about
polka
the
dots.
object's color, Dan. Oh,
It's
boy.
true.
But now I wish both of those had spoken word intros. Where, let me tell you about a story about a bikini. This bikini was yellow with polka dots on it, and everyone who saw it was like, what a bikini. And then the song starts, and you're like, oh, okay. that's-
Diva and itsy bitsy.
Here's a story about a guy who's purple and eats and flies, but he eats purple people. It's not quite clear. But anyway, the thing is he wants to be in a band. Now the song.
Yeah. Now the song. That's how they end that part. Now that you are adequately prepared for the song.
Now that we've made it so you won't have surprises.
This
Because we're
letter.
worried that your heart might be too weak to take a song premise you're not prepared for.
Very thoughtful narrator. This one is
Now,
from
here's a story about
God
a
damn
Sandman who is entering. He wasn't there, and now the Sandman's gonna enter. So when I say exit light and enter night, you know it's the Sandman who's entering in.
Elliot, you're also bringing up a song that basically has a spoken word section in the middle.
Yeah.
That's true. But I mean, they're just saying, they're
That's
spraying
just to
together.
give you a break from the song. You're like, the song was rocking too hard. We were worried about you. We
You
gotta
need a break, yeah. You need a rest to have some orange slices, and yeah.
rehydrate. This one's from Tim. You're just so dehydrated from all that rock.
Yeah.
This is from
All that headbanging is just shaking the sweat right out of your head. You need to replenish it.
Yeah, you
Tim,
need
last name
vitamin
withheld.
C.
Who
Tim
writes?
Heidecker.
Yeah, probably. Hey, Peaches. I started listening to your podcast in 2015, but dropped off in 2017.
Ooh.
Now I'm listening again in 2023.
Yay.
So what did I miss?
So what did I miss?
Oh,
What did
wow.
I miss? Not one of Leslie Odom's songs in that show, but he's in that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a Show, yeah.
That's one of David Diggs' songs.
I don't know, man.
What did we miss? Oh, there was a COVID thingy. We did some stuff
We did.
during that.
We do a lot of minis now. They're
Yeah.
pretty good.
Pretty hilarious. We covered the first of the Rogue Moon movies, and I think that catches us up.
Rebel Moon, which I'm
Oh,
glad that
Rebel
it
Moon?
made such an impression that you got the name
Oh, yeah.
right.
Oh, Rogue
Yeah.
Moon, I think, is a novel.
Yeah.
That old Rebel Moon. Yep.
Just looking to see. I got
Rebel
married.
Moon
I got
in your eye.
remarried somewhere in there. That's
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
that's a thing that
Yeah,
happened.
that's true. We worked various jobs.
Mhm. There's a strike. We did a
There
was a
strike.
Dan and my union went on strike. That's true.
I got like super buff.
Yeah, that's true. That is
yeah,
a thing.
super
that
bulk.
happened.
Yeah, super bulked up. Super bulked. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. He's got
Yeah.
swole.
Yeah. So, it's all. Elliot probably had like 4 more babies or something. Look at
Yep,
trad
that
male
sounds about
Kalen
right,
over
yeah.
here.
Yeah. My wife and I had another litter of children. Yeah.
hmm
So-
I feel like that's not going to be Elliot's next line of work is trad male influencer who's like talks about how the ideal situation is like living on a farm and making like raising cows and making all your own food and I don't know.
I don't think I do very well at it. Yeah.
That's the thing.
When you said trad mail, I thought you said
Yeah.
I thought you said
Treadmill.
I thought you said treadmill, and I was like, I can get one of those. I thought you said transmail, like a Trandoshan, like Bosk, and I was like,
Yeah.
I could be a Bosk. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah. That's
Now, what
I
if the
meant when I
TV
said
show
trad.
Bosch
I'm glad that go
was
on.
about Bosk? He's-
I
But
guarantee
it
you
was
there is
misspelled.
somebody has already fucking made a mashup poster and sells it as a t-shirt.
yeah,
I
probably.
guarantee you, no question.
Yeah.
And that some Star Wars fan bought it for their dad who loves Bosch, and he's like, I guess I'll wear this thing.
The dad's like, what the hell is this? I don't
You see
understand.
that?
I buy all my clothes at Costco, so I guess I can wear this non-Kirkland shirt.
I was
This is
tickled
worse than
by.
the Eric Zuckersberg shirt you made me.
I enjoyed a recent Josh Gondelman tweet, which was about his dad trying to explain a TV show to him by saying it's kind of like Bosch, but not that, but kind of not like Bosch.
Mhm.
And it turned out the show was Justified, and I'm like, I guess that's true.
That's a fair
You know,
description.
Yeah.
That's
it
a
is
fair description
kind
of
like
Justified.
Bosch, and they're both detective shows.
But kinda
And
not like
feature
Bosch.
and feature
kind of not like Bosch.
Deadwood
Yeah.
alums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fits the bill. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for a show
That's
kind of like
Bosch
Bosch, but
adjacent.
not like
yeah.
Bosch, check out Justified streaming now. Hey, this is the part of the show where we recommend movies that are a better use of your time than what we do with our time. We
Okay,
just
yeah.
watch movies for the
Tell me
Flophouse.
about it.
While we were on the road, this is an appropriate
We just got back from our
recommendation.
tour, from our
Yes.
Errors West Coast tour, which we should mention. We should have mentioned this at the top, maybe. Actually, you know what? This episode's going to come out, even though we're recording this before a mini, it's going to come after a mini. So during the mini, let's talk about how great our tour went and how proud we
Great.
are of our
Some
audiences.
reverse planning
Let's do
going
it.
on.
Dan, I can't help it that I have memento syndrome.
Mhm.
Anyway, what I was saying is appropriate to this this podcast, I will recommend a William Friedkin movie that I saw on the road. We had one night off, and I was like, what am I going to do with that night off? I'm going to go to the movies.
How could I best appreciate the nightlife of Los Angeles? I know I'll
Now,
go to a movie theater.
To be fair, we were both
be-40.
located in not so beautiful downtown LA in our hotels.
true.
Wow.
I'm
making no friends today.
I don't think
Just
anyone
family.
who lives in Los Angeles is going to argue with me about this.
No, it's I mean,
Um,
downtown is the place to go if you want to try out a new restaurant, but to get there, you have to walk down a block that smells like human feces.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to hop in a cab and go somewhere far away, which is what you got to go do in LA. But 6 minutes away from where we were staying, lo and behold, they were playing Sorcerer, the William Friedkin movie that I had never seen. I'd never seen Sorcerer, and I had been waiting to see it on the big screen. And there had
Lady
been a
Bird
couple,
star Sorcerer Ronan.
a couple of screenings that I couldn't go to. I was like, I keep missing my chance, and I finally saw it on the road. Did I almost fall asleep towards the end because we had been doing a grueling tour schedule? Yes, but I stayed awake and I really enjoyed it. I would say that The Wages of Fear, which Sorcerer is based on the same source material, although taking it in a very different way.
Uh-huh.
The Wages of Fear, one of my favorite movies. I think that if you feel the need to, compare them, I still like Wages of Fear's approach a little bit better. But man, Sorcerer is good. It's it haunted me afterwards. It has some just very frightening set pieces in it. Roy Scheider is so good at being both like tough and like sensitive. You can see how his mind is falling apart over this grueling experience. All the other actors are tremendously compelling. Tangerine Dream, of course, did the score. How can you go wrong? So I don't know. If you're a film buff and like me, somehow hasn't seen this,
it's great. It
major
rules.
work.
It's a good
Watch
movie.
it.
Dan, did you get the answer to the question of whether androids dream of electric tangerines?
Mm-hmm.
I did not. I forgot to stay. I assume that was answered in an end credits sequence.
Yeah, so I'm going to recommend a musical. I'm going to recommend Dick's the Musical. I don't think we've recommended that one yet. It is
Based on the sporting goods store.
It is based on the sporting goods store.
Gotta stock these balls. Gotta stock them up at Dick's. Sports.
It's a very silly queer musical about two long-lost twin brothers who meet while working at the same job, selling basically widgets. And they're working for Megan Thee Stallion, and they decide to get their mother and father
sounds like you're
to
making
get back
the movie
together
up as you go along.
And they're what I was not expecting were the prominently featured puppet sewer boy monsters that take up a large portion of the plot of this movie. These two little monster guys, and they are great. And it is the hardest I've laughed at a movie in years, I would imagine.
Oh.
It is such a silly thing, and it's one of those movies. It's a movie where I'm like desperately hoping just regular old Megan Thee Stallion fans are like, oh, what's this movie? I'll watch it, and then be like, have their minds blown by how strange this thing is.
Yeah, I've heard great things. I really want to.
It's really funny.
We're talking about The Exorcist, so I wanted to recommend a horror movie. So I'm recommending a movie called Carrie, not the one you're thinking of. This is Carrie from. Yeah?
We just both recommend movies with, let's say, horror elements in them. So I think we're on brand here, Ellie. You don't have to shame us.
I guess so. We'll see. So this is Carrie from 1952, directed by William Wyler. It's an adaptation of the novel Sister Carrie by Theodore Dreiser, and it's about the horror of needing money and how you live in a system where if you don't have money, your dreams are unattainable, and if you choose love over money, you will suffer for it. And so it's the story of a young woman, Carrie Meeber. She leaves her small town and goes to Chicago, and along the way becomes the live-in girlfriend of a salesman who will not marry her. He's just too happy with his life and his freedom. But she falls in love with a restaurant maitre d' named Hurstwood, who's played by Laurence Olivier. Carrie Meeber is played by Jennifer Jones. And it kind of becomes Laurence Olivier's movie from that point on, where he falls in love with Carrie, but he has a wife, he has a family, and he has this ostensibly, lucrative, respectable job as the maitre d' at a very respectable restaurant, and he puts all that at risk for his love of Carrie, and he pays for it dramatically as his life falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because they made the ending in the movie a little bit slightly more positive than the ending of the book, but it's still pretty grim. I mean, the book has a very grim ending, but it still feels like a very grim kind
it's
of
like Dead or Alive, the Takeshi Miike movie.
Exactly, yeah. Which is also based on a Theodore Dreiser novel. Yeah, I think that's based on Jenny Gerhardt. Yeah, but it's a real bracing movie. It's a movie where characters continue to have life smack them in the face over and over again, and the ending is still fairly rough, even though it's sentimental. And it's from 1952, and I wonder if it was taken at the time for the way I was taking it, which was very much a movie about, like I'm saying, the need for money and how if you don't have money, if you're not well off, if you're not stable in that way, you cannot have the things in life that other people desire or sometimes take for granted. And I found it very powerful in that way. So that's Carrie, not the Carrie about the telekinetic girl. That's also a good movie, but this is a different movie called Carrie.
Mm-hmm. Wow, we did it.
I don't know. Sounds pretty complex. I'll just watch the telekinetic girl one.
I mean, if anything, the plot. So this is about a man who falls in love with a woman and it wrecks his life. Carrie, the telekinetic, is a movie about a girl who, upon puberty, she has superpowers. Like
I'm
it's
saying
more
it's too hard
complicated
for my brain to fathom that there's another movie named Carrie. So I'm just going to watch.
Oh, I see.
Hey, this podcast is on the Maximum Fun Podcasting Network. We're getting ready to gear up for Max Fun Drive. They've got a lot of great shows over there. Why don't you check out MaximumFun.org? Check some of those out. Thank you to our producer, Alex Smith, who goes by Howell Doughty on the internet. And he does a lot of great work of his own, podcasts, music. Check that out. And if you have the time and the inclination, leave us 5-star review on iTunes, maybe. Leave us a 5-star review. A definite article would have helped that sentence out. And if you don't have the
Please don't take off
information,
a star for that.
maybe do it.
I'll be leaving 5 1-star reviews, Dan. It's
Should've
me,
been
the
more
straw
specific.
man.
It's me, Lamashtu.
If you
The straw
don't,
man.
if you don't like the show, don't put the energy into trying to take us down. Really, like what's the point? You know?
Yeah, what's the point, man?
Live and let live.
Yeah.
What would be the point? Why would you do that?
YOLO,
We're such small peaches. Why would you take us down? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're little peaches. We can't defend ourselves. We're fuzzy
Get
and
squashed.
yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
smooshed.
But you know what? This has been the Flophouse, and for the Flophouse, I've been Dan McCoy.
Hey, I've been Stuart Wellington.
I'm Elliot Kalin.
Okay, bye.
But did you expect another song? Expect another Imagine Dragons
Yes,
reference? Why did that take
yes,
everybody by surprise?
yes.
Come on.
Bye.
I've got a bad one. Can I try this bad
Okay.
one?
Yeah, of course you can.
On this episode, we discuss The Exorcist Believer.
You made me a exorcist. An exorcist. That's a hot song.
perfect.
That's a popular
Yeah.
song now, or was it 2 years ago?
No, a long time ago at this
Oh.
point. But it's still terrible. So.
Who's that? Imagine Dragons?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey,
Imagine
Dan,
them, guys.
Dan,
Just
imagine
think
some
about it.
dragons.
Okay.
Doing it. Okay, I'm having a better time than listening to the music.
Maximum Fun
A worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
directly
by you.